It is Thursday, which means we're here for our weekly Facebook Live. I'm going to be writing solo today, and we are talking about a topic that comes up a lot with both my clients and just women who I talk to on a regular basis is low energy and fatigue. And the reason I feel like this topic is so important is because if you don't have the energy to do the things that you either think you should be doing or that you are intending on doing, then everything feels harder and it's more difficult than it actually should be. So, we approach energy and we approach this symptom as a top priority. If you don't have your energy, everything else is going to be more difficult. So that's why I think it's really important to talk about it. And if you're watching the replay, then just let me know. Add to the comments #replay so I know that you're watching the replay. And you can still ask questions, post your comments, and continue to let us know any other topics that you want us to cover. We have started kind of collecting your ideas and we're planning out a few more topics for the next month or so. But if there's something else that you really want us to speak to, please let us know. Last Wednesday, we actually did a live workshop, so it's a little bit more in depth and longer. We had a presentation to go along with it and everything. So we didn't do a live in the Facebook group last week, but you can watch that replay. And that is all about nutrition strategies for balancing blood sugar and therefore balancing hormones. We explained the connection there. So if you haven't watched that, just scroll down a little bit in the Facebook newsfeed and you'll see the link so you can watch that replay. All right, so let's get into it on the topic of energy levels. So the top kind of complaints that we hear around energy, it can come in different shapes and forms. It doesn't have to be that you're just like literally tired all the time. But that is one of them. So chronic fatigue, you're tired all the time, no matter like how much you sleep, you're sleeping 8 hours and you're still tired throughout the day. Another big one is the afternoon slump. So you hit a wall at 3 p.m. That's where you need a nap. And also usually where cravings kind of kick in. So you're like, I need sugar or a carbohydrate of some sort, or maybe some caffeine. Another big one is feeling tired after meals. So you eat a meal and then you're tired. You could take a nap after that meal. Another sign of just kind of running on empty when it comes to energy levels is if you need coffee to get you going. I feel like I have to say this because some people just feel like it's normal, and it is kind of normalized, right? Like you wake up, you have a cup of coffee before you are a human. I think of like so many memes that relate to this where it's like, don't talk to me until I get my coffee or whatever it is. So that's definitely an issue. And then the last one I want to point out is feeling wired but tired. So you go through your day, maybe you do have some coffee and because you're tired, but then the evening hits and you should be winding down for bed, but your brain is going a million miles a minute and you lay down and you just can't fall asleep. And then you're up till like 2 a.m. The cycle repeats itself. The next day you feel tired, but you're wired. So if any of those stand out to you, let me know in the comments. So chronic fatigue, 3 p.m. slump, tired after a meal, you need coffee to get you going, or you feel wired but tired so you can't fall asleep at night. And it can be a combination of these things too. Like it doesn't have to be just one of them. I know for me, for the longest time, it was feeling tired after my meals. Like I definitely would hit that wall, and then between like 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. it just felt like I was on the struggle bus, and I would either snack or have more coffee or kind of eat and drink things to keep me going when really my body just needed a nap. But all of these things are common but not normal. And over time, this is just like the tip of the iceberg, because usually this is where symptoms start, but over time, because these are messages from your body, it's a sign that something is out of balance, which we're going to talk about what 3 things specifically could be out of balance, but it usually comes paired with other unwanted symptoms that get you further away from your goals. So cravings, digestive issues, maybe you feel anxious and moody, and then you have the period related issues like PMS or irregular periods or heavy periods, or just feeling like you're completely derailed for an entire week whenever you are on your period. And if you're dealing with this long enough because of the imbalances that are taking place, you might also notice weight gain or weight that feels really difficult to lose. So I do want to tie that into this conversation as well. By addressing these imbalances that relate to your energy, you're also going to be improving things with body composition, with cravings, with sleep, obviously, with digestive issues. It all is connected. And that is why we, again, have this nutrition approach where nutrition and movement, right? And we'll talk a little bit about like what you should and shouldn't be doing movement wise that's going to help or hurt your energy, but in a way that supports your energy levels and gives you more energy, not like white knuckling it or waking up at 6 a.m. and pushing yourself through workout no matter what, and then literally feeling tired the entire day, having cravings, feeling bloated, still not losing weight. We don't want that. We want to reach your goals from a place of having sufficient energy, giving your body what it needs so that you're motivated and things feel easy. Because again, when you feel tired, whether that's because you didn't get a lot of sleep or you slept and you're still tired, this makes everything harder physiologically and mentally as well. So, mentally, I find that, and I can speak to all of this from like personal experience, feeling really tired and just kind of in a fog the entire day. Mentally, everything was so much harder. It was like you have to like push yourself through, even just to go outside for a walk. It's like this mental battle. Or make a nourishing meal. If you are too tired, you can't actually think, what do I want to throw together? Or I'm too tired to throw something together. So you either snack and don't eat a solid meal, which if you followed us for any length of time, you know that the goal is 3 solid meals. But that's one scenario. And then on the other end, maybe you just order something that's like feels really easy but doesn't make you feel that great physically. And you know it's not supporting your goals. So if instead you just have that energy in the first place, you wake up, you have the motivation, the energy, you don't have to be like an Energizer bunny, but just having that focus, you don't have to use willpower, you don't have to use discipline, and you get time back in the day because you have more energy and everything feels easier. So that's the mental benefit of having more energy. And then physiologically, the thing that I like to point out, and I do this a lot with cravings as well, because we're told that they're bad, but they're just messages. So low energy and fatigue, they're messages from your body. It's just a symptom that your body's not getting what it needs. So instead of ignoring that and like just putting a piece of tape over the check engine light, we want to figure out why is that check engine light on in the first place. So rather than, again, white knuckling your way through it, trying to push through, we need to figure out what that missing piece is. And I mean, we do that for a lot of our one-on-one clients too. Just even with the free consults that we have these aha moments and light bulbs go off when it's like, oh, these are the missing pieces. And, I've been doing what I thought was really good, or I've been kind of on the right track, but there's still something missing. We figure out what that missing piece is. And these 3 imbalances for a lot of women are very common. So, and they can show up as low energy, they can show up as digestive issues, cravings, weight that feels really difficult to lose. So this will be helpful for all of those areas. The other thing that I want to just touch on before we get into those imbalances is things that can make your energy levels worse. So almost like adding fuel to the fire, which a lot of women do this unintentionally, and they're like, I thought that would help my energy, I thought that's what I was supposed to be doing, but you're just digging yourself into a deeper hole, and that's not what we want. We want to, if you picture a bucket, we want to be filling that bucket up, and we want to maintain that level of energy throughout the day instead of trying to work from a deficit where we're just, again, draining until you're kind of running on E. These mistakes will continue to drain that bucket. So the first one is fasting and skipping meals. And if you're trying to lose weight, if that's one of your frustrations, this might be something that you've tried, but that is going to add fuel to the fire, and it's going to put your body under more stress. It might work at first, like you're feeling kind of good, but over time, it's going to contribute to lower energy. And the other imbalances that we'll talk about. The second big mistake I see is restricting calories, just not eating enough consistently throughout the day. For some women, this is intentional. Again, they're trying to cut calories to lose weight. They're doing Weight Watchers or Optavia or Noom, and it's like 1,500 calories a day, which I've said this before. That is enough for a 12-year-old girl or boy, a child. Um, Most women in their menstrual years, so reproductive years, should be eating minimum 1,800. And if they're not, that's why a lot of these symptoms can show up. That's why hormonal symptoms and weight gain and blood sugar issues and PCOS are all so prevalent, because we're just not aware of how much we need to be eating on a regular basis. And so whether you've been under eating in order to lose weight, and then maybe you've stalled and your energy sucks now and other things are happening, your metabolism has slowed down, or it's unintentionally because you are fasting, you're running around all day, you're not eating lunch until 12 p.m., you snack and graze on carrots and hummus instead of having a regular meal. You're a busy mom who's doing everything for like the kids, running errands, going to Target, all of those things. That can also lead to under eating. And then maybe at night you do have like episodes or times where you're eating a lot and you're like, I'm not overeating because I just had 2,000 calories. You're still under eating during the day, and that's going to contribute to the low energy levels. So we'll do another Facebook Live on that, but I just want to point some of those different scenarios out so you can really check in with yourself and get clear, like, am I eating enough? Like, if I had to even just plug in a day of breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, like, would I be hitting that calorie goal that I need to? The other big one, this might be the biggest one, and I feel like this is because low carb and keto have gotten a lot of attention in the last few years for resolving a lot of issues. And it definitely can if you're removing processed carbohydrates and you are removing processed sugars. But over time, again, this is what catches up to you. And so if you've been low carb, this is somebody who's been low carb. So if you're 75 grams of carbs and lower and you're struggling with energy, that's a sign that you need to start slowly increasing your carbohydrates and bump those back up meal by meal. Doesn't have to be all at once, and with the right sources as well. So that's another thing. We actually need carbohydrates for the conversion of thyroid hormones. So your thyroid is what regulates your metabolism, your energy, your body temperature, your digestion, lots of things. And if that slows down because you're not getting the carbohydrates that you need, everything else slows down as well. And carbs are your easy source of energy. So as long as you're balancing your blood sugar, pairing it with protein and fat, you can add that carb in. And it's like kind of adding a little, like I picture, like Mario Kart, where you like go over the little arrow and it's like, shoo, and it like speeds you up a little bit. Like that's what carbohydrates are doing whenever you add them in the context of a blood sugar balancing plate. So that's another big mistake, is going too low carb or keto. Another one is doing too much HIIT and cardio every day. So it's like you get on the Peloton, or you go for a run, or you do a boot camp class or a CrossFit class, especially early in the morning after not sleeping that great. That is adding fuel to the stress fire. So instead, you need to work on customizing these workouts. Walking and weights should be at the foundation of your movement, especially if you want to improve body composition and you want to improve your metabolism. And then from there, you can kind of sprinkle in the HIIT, but what I like to say is you have to earn your more intense exercise with proper nutrition, proper sleep. You have to get your energy levels back up before you're going to stress the body out and drain it of its energy levels. So again, you don't want to be doing those workouts from a deficit. And then you're actually motivated to do them. It's not like, you shouldn't feel like you have to drag yourself to the gym every single day. That's, I feel like, what we see on whatever social media or The Biggest Loser or influencers and things like that, but it's not the case, especially if we're looking at this from like a long-term sustainable plan. And then the last one is having shakes or like green juices. So it's like just a protein shake or a green juice and thinking that's a meal. That is not a meal. We need to focus on meals that have calories. Calories equal energy. It's literally a unit of energy. We need micronutrients, minerals, vitamins, and we need macronutrients, protein, carbs, fats. That's what actually gives you energy, and sunlight, but that's not on your plate. So we can't just look at something that's like a green juice with, yes, some micronutrients. It might have some vitamins and minerals in there. Not super bioavailable forms though, like your body's not going to digest them and use them all that well. And you're not getting the calories that you need. So we're just kind of shifting that and focusing on actual solid meals. So those are some of the biggest mistakes. Again, fasting and skipping meals, restricting calories chronically, and going to low carb, and then adding on top of that HIIT workouts and things like that. So too much intense exercise, we don't want to be doing that. And then calling a green juice or a protein smoothie a meal. It's not. Unless you use one of our PFF smoothies with the right protein powder, plenty of protein, fat, and fiber, and some vegetables thrown in there, then it can be a little bit more close to a meal. Okay, so now we know what not to do. Let's talk about the actual imbalances that we want to address. So these can also occur if you're eating healthy and exercising. And I always like to point this out because a lot of women come to us saying, I'm eating clean, I'm working out, but I still experience XYZ. You can still have these balances because just eating healthy and exercising is not addressing these things. So the first one, blood sugar balance. I'm not going to talk too much about what to do here because we just did that entire workshop. So go back and watch the workshop replay. You'll learn what, when, how much to eat just from that alone. But this is the foundation for energy, for eliminating cravings, not having to rely on willpower, and for balancing hormones and hormones related symptoms. So some of the common energy related symptoms that it's just like all signs point to blood sugar balance: hitting a wall at 3 p.m., craving carbs and sugar specifically, and feeling tired after your meal. The other big one is if you wake up between 2 and 3 a.m. And then that combined with during the day just feeling moody and anxious and reactive, and not being able to go a really long time without eating anything. So some women will say like, I'm always hungry, or like they have to have like a snack every 2 hours. I used to have to keep a little granola bar like in my purse, as if the granola bar, again, we won't get into the blood sugar picture, but that's going to spike your blood sugar and then it drops right back down, so you will need something a couple hours later. But that's the first piece, blood sugar balance. When blood sugar is stable, energy is going to be stable. You should be able to eat a meal and be able to function perfectly fine after that. It's completely normal. It's neutral. It's not like you're crashing or needing a nap. And you shouldn't get hungry between meals either. So dialing in on the blood sugar balance, I'll give you the too long didn't read version. 3 solid meals that fill you up for 3 to 4 hours, and snacking when you're hungry with protein and fat, or protein and carbs. You always want to pair those carbs with a protein or a fat source. So that's the first one, blood sugar balance. And this is a foundation in the Fuel Your Body Blueprint group program that will be open for enrollment in just a couple weeks. I've put the link to get on the wait list for that in this group, but that is like one of the foundational pillars, because when you're balancing blood sugar, everything else gets simple and easier. So the second imbalance is related to adrenal health and thyroid health. So adrenals and thyroid. We see a lot of women dealing with symptoms around these things, and usually it's from kind of like either the chronic dieting picture or the eating clean picture, or over exercising, or not eating enough, or dealing with other underlying stressors like gut issues, digestive issues, constipation, things like that. So we see it with the symptoms, and we have an actual metabolism and diet assessment that we give to clients, and that helps them to pinpoint like if and what is actually off subjectively. And then we confirm these imbalances with lab work. So oftentimes we'll get cortisol panels, your stress hormone, which looks at adrenal health, and then thyroid panels, a full thyroid panels in functional ranges, not in its normal ranges, which are like very wide. And so that's, 2 ways we look at subjective and we look at objectively with the data to see if this is an imbalance. And for most women, to some level it is, if you are experiencing any of these symptoms. So you also might have heard of adrenal fatigue, which it's not that your adrenals themselves, which are just little glands that sit on top of your kidneys, it's not that they're tired or fatigued. It's just that your brain's communication with your adrenals to excrete the stress hormones like cortisol aren't working properly. And so really when we're talking about adrenal health, we're talking about cortisol, which with this test, again, you want to get it 4 times throughout the day. A blood test just from your doctor will not tell you what you need to know about cortisol, but it should spike in the morning and then it should be lowest at night. And what we see with this curve is for women who are chronically tired, it's either just low all day long, or another common situation is it's high at night when it should be lowest, and that's when you feel wired but tired. So those are some of the red flags. And also, on the other end, if you're always running high, usually this leads to blood sugar issues and leads to fat storage, specifically like around your midsection, so that belly fat. So stress hormones go hand in hand with blood sugar hormones for a lot of reasons we talked about in the workshop, but this then has a downstream effect on your thyroid hormones. So when thyroid production slows, which is classified as hypothyroidism, or if it's autoimmune related, then it's Hashimoto's. A lot of women, it's very, very common to be diagnosed with this. Everything slows down. So your metabolic rate slows down, which doesn't only relate to your weight, but it also relates to your digestion. So then you'll have constipation and bloating and small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Your body temperature is low. So this is a quick way to measure the health of your thyroid, is just take your body temperature every morning before you get out of bed, and it should be above 97.5. If it's below that, that's a sign of a sluggish thyroid. And then also, if you cannot handle stressors as well, so things that you could handle at one point in time now just stress you out and kind of send you down this anxiety rabbit hole. And then from there, so we look at digestion, we look at mood, we look at body temperature, weight. Then there's another downstream effect that it has on your sex hormones. And this is when we see things like PMS, low libido, irregular periods, and then you go on to get maybe diagnosed with PCOS or something like that. So for this, we need to really figure out, okay, are you subjectively having these signs and symptoms of adrenal and thyroid issues? And if so, get a full thyroid panel, get a cortisol test, address the foundations of blood sugar balance, because you have to do that no matter what. It's the best way to lower stress in the body. Eat within an hour of waking, so do not fast. You want to lower stress on your body so that you're not running on stress hormones in the morning. Even if it's something small, you can do that. Eating enough calories, which I already talked about, that's going to be really important. And then another really quick, easy win for supporting your adrenals and thyroid is getting sunlight, direct sunlight, first thing in the morning. Don't go outside with sunglasses on first thing in the morning. Take all that sunlight in. And then also, I mentioned this before, but eating enough carbs, that's going to be really important for lowering stress on the body and for thyroid hormone production. So that's, again, another big missing piece we see with women who are eating clean, paleo, low carb, keto. They usually need to reintroduce carbohydrates. And we have a strategic way to do this too. It's not just like, okay, go eat all the bread and pizza and stuff like that. It's specific nutrient-dense carbs, fruits, roots, tubers. We'd like to start there. And then properly prepared grains and legumes and things like that are easy to digest, so it doesn't stress out your digestive system. And then customizing the timing as well, so making sure that you are eating the carbs at the right time of the day based on your cortisol rhythm. And you can adjust this with your menstrual cycle too, which is another kind of cool hack that females have the advantage of using. Okay, the third imbalance, so I'll recap. First, we have blood sugar balance, then we have adrenal and thyroid health, and then the third one is gut health. So a lot of people overlook this as a stressor on the body. If you're chronically constipated or bloated or not breaking down your food properly, that is so much work that the body has to be doing and fighting off on a regular basis. It's very energy intensive, and so that will make you feel tired because your body is having to fight off this inflammation and digestive process every single day. The other thing is, if you're experiencing digestive issues, you're probably not absorbing your food well, which leads to nutrient deficiencies. So even if you're eating all these healthy foods or you're supplementing with things, you're not breaking down and absorbing it, and you're still going to be left with those nutrient deficiencies. So poor food absorption, constant stress around the body, increased inflammation, all of these things are coming from poor gut health. And then when you have poor gut health, especially if you're not going to the bathroom every day, right? So you're constipated, you're bloated, this will lead to hormone issues. So you cannot resolve hormone issues without also balancing out your gut, especially for more estrogen dominant symptoms. And so we have to look at gut health for that as well. So a couple quick, easy places to start without us giving you like individual recommendations, which we definitely do that with clients, obviously, and we will address this in the Fuel Your Body Blueprint. We are giving you the nutrition recommendations and approach from a place of blood sugar balance, easy to digest, and in a way that gives you the most kind of like nutrient bang for your buck. So you're absorbing and using everything that you are actually eating. But some great places to start, especially if you struggle with bloating and constipation and things like that. Eating in a rest and digest state, not multitasking, not on the go, not in a fight or flight mode. You have to be in a rest and digest state. Chewing your food thoroughly. The second tip is eating foods that are easy to digest. So instead of doing a bunch of like raw salads and vegetables, think about doing cooked vegetables and adding in foods that are easy to digest. So this includes bone broth, fermented foods like sauerkraut, cooked meat, cooked vegetables, tubers, fruits, things like that. And then the last piece with digestion, especially if you've been dealing with issues for a long time, is to test, not guess. So we like to use the GI map test to look at, if you've never done a GI map test and you've been dealing with digestive issues for more than a couple of years, I highly recommend it. It looks at everything that's going on in your large intestine. It also looks at your digestive capacity to figure out, are you having a hard time breaking down fats and that's causing issues? Are you having a hard time breaking down protein? Do you have enough stomach acid? Do you have leaky gut? All of those things, which if you have a lot of food sensitivities, you probably have leaky gut. So test, not guess. That's a really important component if you want to look at addressing gut imbalances and gut health. All right, so those are the 3 areas, and then kind of some tips within each imbalance of what you can start doing. I'll just recap quickly. So the first one is blood sugar balance. You have to have balanced blood sugar. Second is adrenal and thyroid. And third is gut health and proper digestion. So all 3 of those, if they're off, can contribute to not only issues with your energy, but also the cravings, the hormone issues, the weight gain, the sleep issues, all of those things. So we want to make sure we're supporting those areas. And when we approach things from a place of like balancing those out versus just calories, exercise, which again adds fuel to the fire, stresses your body out more, and ignores a lot of these important things that support your physiology, then you're just going to keep spinning your wheels. So in order to find a plan that truly supports your energy and fuels your body long term, you need to address all these areas. So learning how to properly fuel your body with the right foods, balancing your blood sugar, balancing your macronutrients, the proteins, the carbs, the fats, and micronutrients, minerals, vitamins, things like that are super important as well. And it doesn't come from just eating chicken breast and rice and green juices. And also knowing what's going on with your body, like using biofeedback, listening to your cravings and your energy, knowing where you are in your menstrual cycle, whether you're in the luteal phase or the follicular phase or you're ovulating. You can change a lot of things with your movement and your nutrition so that you feel good throughout the entire month. And also not like this plan, the way that you're eating should not stress you out. It should feel flexible and doable, and you should be motivated to stick to it because you see progress and you feel really good. It's not like a temporary thing. And then with the exercise too, understanding what the right kind of sweet spot is for you, because more is not better. And that can fuel a lot of other issues. So finding that happy medium and that balance with your exercise, that is also really important. And we go through this with one-on-one clients, but also this is what I've kind of like put together in the Fuel Your Body Blueprint program, so that you're getting everything that you need to within that 8 weeks, but in a group coaching setting. And then it's obviously less of an investment than the one-on-one coaching. So we're covering all of these things, and we're still keeping it kind of like a small, intimate group. So it's only open to 10 women, which is why I'd encourage you to get on the wait list. If you haven't already, you'll get a discount, so you'll get $200 off, and then you'll also get first dibs on registration, because once the 10 spots fill up, then it's closed from there. So, and of course you get like all the tools and guidance and food related things that you need within that program, plus the coaching and accountability from me. So I'll put that link to join the waitlist again below in the comments. But I hope this information was helpful for you. And let's see, I kept it at 30 minutes, which is not too bad because I like to talk. So 30 minutes, we're done. If you have any questions on anything energy related, whether it's with your food, your nutrition, blood sugar, gut health, movement. Let me know, put it in the comments or post in the Facebook group. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. And then we will be back here again next Thursday. And again, if you have any topics that you want us to cover, let me know, post it in the group, and we can definitely dive into that and answer your questions. All right, well, I hope to see you on the wait list for the Fuel Your Body Blueprint if you have not already gotten on there. And we will talk to you next week. All right, bye.